Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through my 2025 work bullet journal setup. I posted my 2024 one last year and it actually got a good amount of views, so it seems like, people are interested in this. I wanted to take you along as I set up my new edition. You'll see that my 2024 journal still has a lot of pages left. Where the bookmark is, you'll see there's still a good chunk left. But I really didn't want to start 2025 in there and then having to migrate to another journal. But I can always use these pages for other things, notes, cutting paper out when I need it, so it definitely won't go to waste. That old journal was an origami one. I got it off of Amazon and I actually really liked it. But for this year, I decided to use an Archer and Olive notebook that I had. One, because I had it already, so I'm not trying to buy new things for no reason. And two is because I wasn't a huge fan of this design. I got in the advent calendar, so I'm probably gonna put some stickers on top and make it a little more work themed. But anyway, let's get into it. First two pages I'm going to stick together just because they never properly fold down. I think this is actually the one time it did, so I just decided to do what I usually do. And then I gathered my supplies, which again, a bunch of stickers, washi tapes, a bunch of Tombow markers, and started getting to town. So this theme is pretty loose. I'm just using a bunch of colors that I like, and that is just going to be the colors of the pages. That's kind of what this whole journal is like. It's a good way for me to use stickers that I haven't used. I haven't figured out how to use them in any of the themes that I've created, or just things that don't really fit. They kind of end up here, which is honestly actually more fun than I thought it'd be. It's an interesting constraint of just having to work but in certain colors. So I used my letter stamps, which always fun. I always use those for my titles, and then pasted in a 2025 calendar. And now you'll see I'm going to be using Dutch doors heavily in these spreads. So the first thing I did was cut the excess paper off, and now I have a lot of scraps so I can use them for other things. And then I wanted to round out the edges with my corner rounder thing. It is gigantic. I don't know, my sister bought it who knows how long ago, and she gave it to me because I was thinking about buying one, and she was like, dude, I already have one. Don't buy extra things, which I agree. And so this is going to serve as my future log. So the page on the left is a year at a glance, just so I can see the calendar all at once. And then this future log will actually be for the first 6 months. I usually have an idea of some of my really big projects coming out. Also, writing in some of those things like super far in advance isn't helpful. Launches get moved around, projects get moved around or deprioritized. So I felt like having the first 6 months was probably the best. And I will be honest, I'm recording this voiceover at the end of April and I haven't filled out that future log, which I really should, just so I can keep track of what has happened. That's also another purpose, a huge purpose of this notebook, is to keep track of work, projects, initiatives that I did, because like most other jobs, we have performance reviews. You kind of forget what you did, like all those details. So this is a good way to kind of keep me on track. And the cover page is super simple. I used an extra 2025 label sticker that I still had from my personal setup and just put it in here with some little washies and a few floral stickers. You'll see the florals are gonna come in a lot in these pages. I have a lot. They're always easy. They're always my fallback when I don't know what theme to create. So moving on to the next page is my index. I've actually never made an index until this journal. I felt like it would be easier for me to find things month to month if I actually kept them in here. Again, I haven't filled this out. I don't know if I'll actually have a use for it, but maybe, like I said, towards the end of the year where I have to go back and look at information, this will probably be more helpful. And this journal is not numbered, so I will have to do that myself, which is fine. And then the next page is going to be a launch calendar. I work in tech, so we have things called product launches, and this the term product launch can apply to so many things, not just in tech. But anyway, these are part of some of the big projects that I do, and I wanted to see it at a glance to know which quarters are going to be more heavy for me, which ones are going to be more lighter, and during the light quarters is when I can pick up extra projects or initiatives that I've really been wanting to do. So it's a good way to actually get that view at a glance. I do actually create this digitally for myself in a spreadsheet because I often share it with my manager or with other leads just so they know like what's happening. But I also wanted to put it here so I could see like, hey, you know, this quarter was a lot. I did all these things because, you know, it all came together there, or this quarter was lighter, so I did some of the more project-y stuff. Next up, these will be my expectations, goals, all the like projects and initiatives like I set for myself as well as in my department, and kind of how all that comes together. You'll see I had to look to see where I needed to cut the page first because the first Dutch doors are going to be small and then they're going to get larger and larger towards the end. So I'm doing waterfall tabs actually. This is my first time creating waterfall tabs, and I don't know why I used scissors here because it was not as straight as it could have been, but that's okay. It was a learning. And then I went in and rounded all of the corners so it matches like the standard page. So the reason I went with waterfall tabs and Dutch doors is I actually don't use a lot of space. Like you saw when you saw how much was left over in my 2024 notebook. So I can actually afford to cut out a lot of paper and not feel bad about it or feel like that I'm going to run out of space in this journal. So I think it's fun. It's something new to experiment with. Figure out if I like it. Maybe I want to start incorporating it more into my personal stuff. So yeah. This first page is my 2025 expectations. So things that I need to do by the end of the year that like I will be held to during my review. And then I'm going in and adding washi tapes to each of the ends of the tabs, and they'll each have their own kind of little color scheme. I also kind of based these colors on my personal bullet journal, which had more bolder colors in kind of an Art Nouveau theme, and I chose the pastel versions of this. So I thought that was kind of fun, but otherwise there's not really a defined theme. And one thing I did last year was I chose one color for each month and decorated the spread based around that. So I wanted to do that again because it's an interesting challenge. Like when you say, okay, I can only use blue stuff, I'm going to do all blue things, and that's like my main color, and usually have like a little complementary color with it. And for each of the months this year, I've decided I'm kind of going to go in rainbow order. So Roy G. Biv, so red, orange, yellow, green. So green was for April. I'll be doing blue in May. And like I mentioned earlier, it's a fun challenge kind of having that restriction because you kind of have to work within your constraints. And it's a good way to use stationery that you don't always get to use. I have a lot of washi tape, definitely not as much as other journalers, but like I have more than enough that I need to start using. These next pages are going to be for certain projects that I had planned for 2025. And so I want to document kind of like an overview of what they were, what I did, what I accomplished. Again, you start like forgetting what you even did. And I think this is even helpful for whenever you leave this job or, you know, change teams or leave companies, just because you have like some references of work you did, which is always helpful, whether you have a job that requires a portfolio or when you're interviewing and you need to talk about things and then you're like suddenly head is empty and you don't remember anything, you don't remember any of the impact and stuff. So this is helpful. And so every project usually has some kind of little name with it, so that's what I'm putting in. And you can see like I'm kind of matching the washi tapes and having kind of a little mini color theme on each page. Next up is my Q1 goals. So yes, that earlier page is my expectations, but those are my expectations for the whole year. And then each quarter you kind of break it down to what you want to focus on, and you have a goal and then the tasks you need to complete in order to achieve that goal. So I'm just putting in Q1 and Q2 here, and then later on, once I get through the first half of the year, I will go in and add that future log for the next half as well as for Q3 and Q4. And so that's pretty much it. Here I am flipping through it. You can see these pages are kind of random, but they're more about function than pure aesthetic. Even though I did make them pretty because I like to have my pages look nice for myself. These waterfall tabs were a journey. I will say that. You can see I keep pressing these tapes in. It's because I got these tapes in 2020. My friend bought a big box of washi tapes for my birthday, and I'm still going through them like 4 years later. But the problem is, if you don't use your tapes, like depending on the quality of them, they're going to start losing that stickiness. So I'm really trying to get through them. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below of this setup, if you have any questions and so on. I will also be filming my weekly setup for this journal separately, so that'll be another video coming in the future. Thank you again for watching, and please stick around for more. Bye!